And 2, tell your partner. If you're teaching factual information, remember these 4 words. Say it, everyone. If you're teaching factual information, remember these 4 words. Teach it to your partner and use gestures as you do it. And go.
That's it. That's it.
Whoa, right there. Good job. He doesn't even know the laser's on him, but whoa. Okay. And so you said, well, I have to have the students, everyone, attend. I have to have them intend to learn it. I have to have them rehearse it, and I have to have them retrieve it. Now I'll tell you, another benefit of me using gestures with you is I said, explain it to your partner with gestures. Then again, I can hold everybody, what everyone, accountable, because I can see the gestures are happening. And actually the very best gestures, please stand up. That's you. No, not you, behind you. Yours were good. His were, whoa. Yeah, good, all right. So, we then looked at teaching kids skills and strategies, and we learned the 3 major steps. We're right in the middle of it. What those steps are: thinking, and 2s. You're going to tell your partner, these are the steps we use in teaching strategies, and then tell them anything else you remember about teaching strategies. And go, use gestures as you give them an input, and go. Okay, thank you. So I heard you say the 3 big steps were with gestures, everybody. I do it, we do it, you do it. But one of you said, when you added additional information, that may or may not be done all in one lesson. Sometimes it would be stretched out over time. So let's just take that concept. And I told him I didn't need a dot camera, but I did, but I fixed it up. But let's look at this across different groups of children, because it really does give us an idea about if students are needing Tier 2 support or Tier 3 support. So let's say I was teaching this to a very high-performing, this strategy of a name, number, what, tell the most important thing, say it in 10 words or less, to a very high-performing group of 7th graders. And the instruction might look like this. I do it, we do it, we do it. Then the font size means I'm fading it out. We do it, and what, everyone? You do it. But let's say that I have a group that has more challenges. And I'll put this up so that if you don't want to copy it, I'll put it up on the website with the other materials we're adding this afternoon, okay? And it might go like this. I do it, we do it, we do it, we do it, fading it out. We do it, we do it, we do it, we do it, you do it. That the biggest difference is the number of we do it's. But maybe I am teaching a special ed group, and it would often go like this. I do it, we 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 do it. See you after holiday. I do it, we do it, we do it, then you do it. And so the big difference here is not the amount of I do it, it is the amount of what, everyone? We do it. That is the major difference in teaching the same skill. In the research that was done by Sharon Vaughn at University of Texas, Austin, they found that special ed students needed 10 to 30 times as many trials in order to learn the behavior. 10 to 30 trials more to learn specific academic behaviors. And our special educators sitting here would know that. And so we looked at teaching facts, teaching skills and strategies, and now we're going to look at vocabulary. And vocabulary is an area that all of us would have need of strengthening at our school sites. Because in every single subject area, we have vocabulary and concepts. And so that if I am teaching children in elementary school, in the primary grades, read alouds, there might be some critical vocabulary I teach them before we did the read aloud. If they're in an anthology, in a reading corridor, I might teach them vocabulary, I would teach them vocabulary necessary for comprehension. But you teach vocabulary in math, you teach it in science, you teach it in social studies, you teach it in health, you teach it in language arts, you teach it in music, you teach it in art. There is not a subject area where you are not teaching vocabulary. So if I'm working with the middle school and high school, I'll often work with them specifically on vocabulary so everybody can have buy-in, because everybody knows that the vocabulary is critical within their domain. And why should we teach vocabulary? Because right along with teaching no background knowledge is all these articles that say no front loading, don't teach them any background knowledge or vocabulary. And that simply is not supported by research that I have looked at. For example, a summary of research on vocabulary concluded this: when I stop, say the next word. Indeed, one of the most enduring findings in reading research is the extent to which students' vocabulary knowledge relates to their reading comprehension. And I saw that you must be doing some work with Marzano's work. And so Marzano wrote a book on vocabulary, and this was his summary. Direct vocabulary has an impressive track of improving students' background knowledge and comprehension of academic content. In fact, the largest study that was ever done on this question, if I teach you critical vocabulary, will it improve your comprehension? By the late Steve Stahl. And look at that effect size. It wasn't just like a sort of helpful. It is a 0.97 effect size. Do you know how much researchers would love to get a 0.97 result? That is a 2 martini result. I'm celebrating here. It is critical. In Hattie's work, when he looked at vocabulary programs and did they impact comprehension and achievement, again, very high effect size. So we need to teach it. Now, the challenge in English is the number of words that we have. You know, English has more than 1 million words. There's an agency in Great Britain that is given the responsibility of adding words formally to our lexicon. So they scan newspapers, magazines, books, textbooks, novels from across the English-speaking world. And when a word gets 20,000 hits, it becomes anointed. It is an English word, so it's always expanding. Next up is Russian with 400,000 words. See, Putin's disappointed. Spanish has about 300,000 words. Okay? So, but 1 million words. Now that makes it very difficult, for example, immigrants to learn. Because, for example, we don't just say walking, we could have leaping, we could have racing, we could have crawling, we could have scrambling. It's an endless number of potential words that we could use. So our language gives us deep specificity because of the number, but it also is difficult to obtain because of the number. I'm working in Alaska with a group of natives there that have a language that has about 200 words. And let me tell you, if you don't want to discuss whales, there's not much to say. So it's been interesting to look at how they form words together to expand their vocabulary. So here, I wonder if I could just do this. Because I just am not Brittany. You might have noticed. Okay. Can you hear that? Okay. So just like when we pick facts for instruction or strategies for instruction, we have to ask ourselves the right questions. Again, we want to select vocabulary terms that are what everyone are critical. That means that they are going to be either what is referred to as general academic vocabulary. What I often refer to them as the suitcase words, like a word like analyze. So I can teach children the meaning of analyze, and in math they can analyze an equation. In language arts they can analyze the meaning of a word such as front-loading. In science they could analyze results from an experiment, so it is a word that goes with you. Versus domain-specific vocabulary. If I taught tariff, what content area would that be taught in, everybody? In social studies. If I taught them foreshadowing, that would probably be taught in language arts. If I taught acute angle, probably in math. So those are domain-specific words. But we are going to teach ones that are, again, useful in the what, everyone? The moment, but also useful in the future. And words that are more difficult to obtain independently, and ones that might generalize to other situations. So no matter what we're teaching, we're looking at things that are critical, things that are useful, and things that will generalize. One study looked at how many words we should teach. Should we teach 25 words in one session? Of course, the answer is no, because all of us have limited working memory. And so we go into, if we have too much information, we really stop learning. We can feel it in our whole body when we have cognitive overload. So usually we would, in a session, teach 4 to 5 in depth. We might teach some others, light touch, light touch, light touch, but in terms of in depth, we would limit it. And so we're going to just take a moment, because in the research on vocabulary, the most critical thing we do is select the words. So we're going to take a moment to do this. So our question would be, is teaching that word, is the vocabulary what, everyone? Critical. And would it be useful in the moment, useful in the future? Maybe more difficult to obtain independently, and maybe one that could generalize to other situations. So one day I am teaching in 2nd grade a read aloud to children called Enemy Pie. A story, good story. And these were the potential words that I could teach them to improve comprehension. But this is more than I needed to teach, so I needed to reduce it down. So my turn first. The first word is what, everyone? Perfect. And I presume that most 2nd graders have perfect. They've had the perfect paper, they've had the perfect teacher, and so I just said perfect. There's no errors, it's very good. It is what, everyone? Perfect. Super light touch. The next word is what, everyone? Trampoline. And so the problem with trampoline is it is not trampoline. So the pronunciation is a little bit different than the word. So I went over the word by parts and say the first part, everyone. Tram, and use the name of the letter. Next part is po, and the last part is lean. Okay, it looks like line, trampoline, but what we say is trampoline. What do we say, everyone? Trampoline. So pronunciation-wise, the tricky part here is that the I with the N is not I, but in this word, trampoline, is E. Say it again, everyone. Trampoline. So I would be certain of the pronunciation. But this is still going to be light touch. I showed them the picture of it. This is a trampoline. What is it, everyone? A trampoline. For exercise or for fun, people jump up and down on it. Really, at 70, they do get one model. That's all right. So light touch. But on your paper, circle the word enemy. That's a word that deserves more input. And because it is what the story is about, enemy pie, a boy believing that someone else is his enemy, and he wants to put icky things in the pie that they're going to serve him when he comes to visit. And so not only that, students could use it. When they write a story, they could talk about the enemy. They're going to hear the word so that it would be a useful word. The next one is what, everyone? Recipe. Recipe's whole problem is the pronunciation. It is not recite, which if you used your decoding skills, you think it's recite. So it's a tricky word, recipe. And is it possible that some second graders know something already about food? Yes or no? Yes. So it gets this super light touch. This word is a tricky word. It's not pronounced how you'd think. It is recipe. What is it, everyone? Recipe. When you want to make a new food, then you need special directions. And those special directions are called a recipe. So if I make a cake, I need a cake recipe. If I'm going to make meatloaf, oh, I do love it, I need a meatloaf recipe. If I want to make cookies, I need a cookie recipe. So very light touch though. The only one up to now I've done more work on would be enemy. Now, another thing we know about vocabulary is if there are related words that are semantically related, they should be taught next to each other, juxtaposed, so that the students could see the relationship. So put your finger on the next word, I should teach. And whisper to your partner, what is the word I should next teach? Okay, we'll work on whispering later. Ingredient, right? So looking over here, so I would put it right there. This word is ingredients. What word? Ingredients. Put your hand on your lap. Slow it down and say the parts of the word and go. Ingredients. Again, ingredients. So when we're following that recipe and we're making a new food, it tells us what we put in the food. And everything we put in the food is a, what everyone in? Ingredient. So let's say I have a recipe for a chocolate cake. This is my goal. And the first thing it says is put flour in the batter. And the flour is what, everyone? An ingredient. Make a bowl. Put your hand in the air. Watching the principals up in that area. And next it says put butter in it. Actually it says margarine, but we're going to use butter. And the butter would be an ingredient. Next it says put dark chocolate in it. That would be an ingredient. Then it says add more dark chocolate. That is another ingredient. So teacher talk. Some of the best research on the use of gestures is with vocabulary. And that it enhances the recall after the students have an idea of the meaning. Having them engage in gestures and acting it out does increase their retention. So the next word is what, everyone? Discussing. And circle that word, because I taught that word because it was necessary to the story, because the pie with all this stuff in it would be disgusting. But it's a word that second graders could use. You could announce a spelling test and they would say, woo, that is, maybe it's a cumulative spelling test. That is disgusting. So it's a word that they could use. And the next word here is what, everyone? Earthworms. Earthworms, of course, is what kind of word? Compound word. And there is a strategy for reading meaning and getting the meaning of a compound word. You always read it left to right. First word, everyone, is earth, and next word is worms. But when you go to figure out the meaning, you go to the second word and look at its relationship to the first. So earthworms are worms found in the earth. A daydream is a dream you have during the day. A mailman is a man who delivers the mail. So that's a very useful at any grade level that students know how to figure out the meaning of a compound word. Go to the second word and look at its relationship to the first. Even like a network, it only works if there's a net. But that's all that it gets. Now, I want you to start with horrible and go down these two and circle your two additional favorite words for in-depth instruction. I want to see everybody actually circling it on their paper so I can monitor. looking up here. Now, I want you to look at your two words and ask yourself, you haven't read the story, so you do not know if it's critical to the story, but are they words that would be useful in the moment and useful in the future? They're going to hear it or say it or read it often, and that they might be more difficult to obtain. For example, words that have an abstract reference are much more difficult to obtain than ones that are concrete. And might they use it in different situations? Okay, compare yours with your partner and see if you chose the same words.
Just fine. Relieved because it's a hard, tricky bell kind of.
She's a bit nervous. Just did a
Okay, looking here. Now this is not like a perfect scientific outcome. You may have different answers, but here was my thinking. First one I thought about was horrible, but I can really tell you every second grader has mastered horrible because someone has said that person is horrible, that dog is horrible, this food is horrible, and you're horrible too. So they've also had that experience. So horrible you can do very quickly. When something's really bad, it is horrible, the end. Now, looking at the remaining words, the word I would give the lightest touch to would be boomerang. Because it may be unknown, but are they going to hear it often in the future, yes or no? So we wouldn't want to give a lot of our energy to it. This is what boomerang would deserve. Picture, this is a boomerang. What is it, everyone? Boomerang. And it is often today used as a toy, though in the past it was used as a tool. But if you throw it perfectly, it will come back to you. And again, it is called a, what everyone, boomerang. Now, unfortunately, one of my trips to Australia made a big deal about how you wouldn't put a lot of energy into boomerang. I almost got boomeranged right out of it. And so now I never use that example because they would teach it in depth. So that leaves us with these three words, nervous, invited, and relieved. And you could have taught any of those. But a number of you wowed me by saying, well, I'm going to teach nervous and relieved, and I'm going to just pose them, woohoo, really good, because something was going to occur and I was very nervous, but when it was over, I was relieved. So actually teaching them just to pose would make it easier for them to obtain. Well, let's see what our time is. Okay, our time says that we're going to hop over here. Tonight, if you have nothing to do, you can use the same thinking with this example. And if you find yourself actually doing it, say to yourself, oh my God, I need a life. All right, go to 41. So, this is the same kind of thinking we would do if we were teaching upper grades. So this was a day I was teaching in language arts a passage called Breaker's Bridge. It was about a Japanese governor over a district of Japan, and he wanted to be able to go from his castle to his hunting ground. But there was unfortunate, a gorge between the two. So we asked the bridge maker to make a bridge and said, if you cannot make it by hunting season, you will be executed. A little reinforcement, motivation. So, but when I look at the material, first of all, the words that were starred are the words that the actual curriculum said for me to teach. But then as I read it, it appeared that there were other words that might be useful for me to teach. So here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to find between 4 to 6 words that you say, these words. You don't know the story, so it's going to be your best guess, but these would be the words that I would teach. So take a moment circling 4 to 6 words that you say, yes, these I want to do more intense instruction. 8th grade. Okay, as soon as you have them, compare them with your partner.
Right? But this already started, right? Were you not supposed to choose the ones that started? Imperial. I did just I did orange. I don't know.
I'm just trying to think, like they would know defeated, they would know emperor. And you can do emperor imperial, like what's the relationship? Everything else I feel like they know. Yeah, she was feeling that right. Go get her like a right.
Did on the screen on desperation, and there's something connected to me teaching that relevant.
Connect emperor with imperial.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Maybe amplify. Not just.
So we think.
We know
We're
it
gonna
all.
do it.
Yeah, yes. And they'll know that's what they're doing. So what you're doing right now is resolving. Positive that they're not experienced with banking or the idea of putting I do like what she keeps talking about. Like if they can't pronounce it, they'll never be able to type.
We talk about that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
A lot of it can read it. I got you. Are you really? Right here.
Not this time.
In the 20 million other dogs.
Maybe another time.
No, but that's good. Yeah.
It's so busy, like I'm around, I was by myself. So,
Okay, looking up here, I just had to type it in because I got rid of my not camera. So, again, this is not like perfection, but it is the kind of thinking that we need to guide our teachers in doing. In fact, one of the things that we could do, like if I was an elementary coach and the students had stories that they were all reading, I might sit down with the teachers and we go through and we select the words for intense vocabulary instruction. So going down the column, the first word there is what, everyone? Obstacle. The first word, everyone, is obstacle. I actually taught that word because it was the whole theme of the story, overcoming obstacles. So that actual bridge maker had to think of different ways to overcome the fact there was a gorge separating the castle area from the hunting ground. The next word is what, everyone?
Writhing.
Writhing. Now, raise your hand if you've ever been a language arts teacher. See, that's the kind of word you love. And so, as a language arts person, I taught that word. It's not used much in oral language, but it's used quite a bit in narrative stories to talk about the behavior of a character. And the next word is what, everyone?
Peers.
Peers. Now, some words are totally dependent on your vicinity, where you live. I was teaching this in Tacoma, Washington, south of Seattle, Washington, and if you went to the windows and looked out, there were the piers. So I could like skip it. I don't know about in Concord, maybe not. And the next word is what, everyone? A big idea. If the students already have a member of the family in their repertoire, what you want to do is simply connect it to that word. So looking up here, this first word is what, everyone? Execute. If I execute someone, I do what? I kill them. And the act of killing them is an execution. And the person who kills them, who performs it, is an executioner. So I'm going to be curious about how this word is used within the story. We might expect that there is a person who is an executioner. And so if the students already have a relative of the word, your best bet, most efficient bet, is to connect it to that relative, because the end result is quicker acquisition and longer retention. And the next word is what, everyone? Immortal. Say it, immortal. Now, this was a few years ago when I taught this, and so I actually taught it to them, immortals, but today, I mean, they've had vampires and more vampires and more vampires, and they have learned immortal. And so I would probably just teach it today as an analysis of the morphographs, the meaningful parts. And so immortal, mortal means man, and im means not man. And so I'd probably teach it that way. The next word is what, everyone? Emperor. Emperor. Light touch. They already know a synonym, which would be king, the end. Top of the line, next word is district. And so I just told them that was a portion of Japan. And we moved on, and the next word is gorge. Now, I taught gorge. I wasn't able to replicate the drawing I had, but I taught them that a gorge was a, what, everyone, a landform. Then I had a drawing of a gorge. And I told them that it was a narrow valley that was off